No matter how tempted you are to come to the rescue of any animal in distress, these are wild animals that you should please stop saving, or you would need some saving yourself. A couple of months ago, a herd of bison were crossing the Lamar River when one of the calves got separated from the mother and the rest of the herd. A tourist who was also a hiker decided to help the situation by carrying the bison to the shore. Now, no doubt this was obviously a good gesture, as he was only trying to do the right thing. However, things took a turn for the worst when the rangers did everything within their power to reunite the calf with the rest of the herd, all to no avail, as the herd rejected the calf, all due to the human contact it had. Typically, human contact with a young calf left a certain scent on it, which the bison herd had considered a threat or dangerous. Unfortunately, the calf got abandoned with no hope of ever reuniting with its herd. It is necessary to understand that bison are well capable of rescuing their calves without any help from external agents. No matter how tempted you are to get a wild animal to trust you, one of the worst things you can do is make a wild raven become habituated. That was the case with a gas station clerk who saw a flock of 3 ravens picking through a dumpster in search of food and felt bad about this. She decided to leave some food at the back of her truck occasionally, and the ravens came around to eat. Unfortunately, what she didn't realise was that this is typical raven behaviour, and leaving food out for them was a huge mistake. They became so used to this that the youngest raven took advantage of the situation. He was no longer afraid of humans and spent every day destroying windshield wipers on vehicles within the parking lot of the local school. Eventually, the locals were faced with 2 choices: trap the ravens so they could be transferred to a zoo, or shoot them. Sadly, a local did shoot them, as plans to trap them failed terribly, and this is a huge lesson to never try and save a raven. In almost every wildlife conservation centre, there's a high chance you'll see a sign warning visitors not to feed the wild animals. These warnings are there for good reason. Unfortunately, not everyone pays attention to this, especially when they are carried away by how cute the animals are. Well, no matter how much their eyes seem to peer into your souls, they are still wild animals, and you should respect that. Feeding wildlife can have a negative impact on the ecosystem, as it is risky to give wild animals human food, no matter what your intentions are. Foods from humans are unhealthy, as this won't give them the nutrients they need for survival, and it could stop them from normal activities, such as scavenging, foraging, and hunting for their own food. A great example of this is feeding deer a lot of maize. This can lead to a grain overload, which is the result of an upset in the normal acid balance in their stomach. Don't put them in danger in an attempt to save a wild animal. Here, I'm taking the ute to the big smoke for some supplies. You stick around here and wait for number 1 on this list. Now, this cute but dangerous animal is not the typical damsel in distress. Please share this with your friends and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on our other awesome videos. Go on! Leopard cats are a whole different species, and though they might appear to be like your regular cats at home, these creatures are known for retaining their wild instincts. This farmer rescued what he thought was a kitten wandering around, but it turned out to be a leopard cat. Though the farmer appeared to have good intentions, there is every possibility that he most likely would have separated it from its mum. The animal lost its family forever. There is something known as the circle of life, which means that there is a natural balance in the ecosystem. Some animals are prey and some are predators. You might feel sad for that rabbit or bunny, but disrupting the ecosystem as a whole is never a good idea, as every animal has a specific role to play. For the brave ones, it is a very normal thing to try and squash a spider, especially if you see it roaming around your home. There are, however, others who are somewhat empathetic and try to get the spider to go outdoors by transporting it using a container. The question, though, is whether this saves the spider's life after all. Some spiders are usually adapted to certain temperatures and environments, which is why there are only a handful of them that can survive in the wild. So, what's the best possible way to deal with a spider? If you ever see a spider around your home, don't immediately crush it under the weight of your book. Not only is that disgusting, but it's not that sanitary either. Also, don't toss it outside. Instead, try relocating it to another part of your home where you can house a spider. For example, your garage or attic. The sheer size and strength of a tiger is best imagined and never seen up close. Unfortunately, these tourists got the scare of a lifetime when they broke this golden rule. They had ventured a little too close to this wild animal in an attempt to interact with nature as closely as possible. Well, this narrow escape is proof that you should never ever try this, no matter how enticing the idea of being a few meters away from a tiger is. There's only one person that has a higher chance of getting out of such a scenario unhurt, and it's not you. There are instances when rescuing animals can result in some very shocking and surprising situations. For example, a family that resides in Canada found a sick puppy that they assumed was abandoned by the owner or mother. They decided to take the poor creature to a vet, where they later realised it wasn't a puppy after all, but a baby fox. The family confessed that they acted on instinct and decided that the cub needed help, which is what anyone would have done in the situation, of course. However, the sad reality now is that the fox or cub will have to live all its life in captivity with the people who would be its caretakers. What is to say the mother abandoned the cub? For all we know, there is every possibility that she could have returned to look for her cub, only to be met with nothing, meaning the mother and cub will never get to see one another ever again. Oh, I just had a quick dip in a billabong. Anyway, we're almost at number 1. Please subscribe, share and like this video if you think it's amazing. Now, this next animal almost had its rescuer walking through fire. Crikey. In a situation where an animal is trapped in a fire, naturally your first instinct will be to save it from the jaws of the fiery furnace. However, this might be shocking. Not every animal needs rescuing from a fire. This video clip from a couple of years ago went viral because it captures the tribulations of a rabbit through a raging fire. However, in the midst of the ever-rising flames, a man rushes in to rescue the rabbit. The strangest thing, though, is that as he scoops up the rabbit, the furry creature leaps through the flames, forcing the man to hold the rabbit in his arms and closer to his chest. Now, this is quite puzzling, as the entire clip prompted different reactions, with some people praising the man for his heroic gesture, while on the other side of the internet was convinced that he should have not interfered. While his intentions were no doubt pure, it is necessary to point out that an animal at the edge of a fire most times doesn't need rescuing, as there is a high chance that it had a reason for undertaking such a risk. Wild animals are somewhat experts when it comes to handling wildfires. No need to try and save them. Naturally, some animals are quite adept with the water, and you don't always have to rush to pull out animal you see in the water. Most times it pays to get a better understanding of the situation before running in. A few years back, a couple of wild boars were rescued off the coast of Tuscany. It is necessary to point out, though, that similar to pigs, boars are actually very good swimmers, so there is a high chance that they did not need rescuing after all. Who knows, maybe there was a special or particular reason it had to be in the water at that point in time. But now, I guess we'll never know. Now, at first glance, it might appear as though the man is saving the proboscis monkey from a watery grave. But could that really be the case? Especially as the monkey kept howling and trying to swim in the opposite direction? Anyway, here's what we think really happened. As earlier implied, there are times when some animals don't need saving, and this might be one of those situations. Proboscis monkeys are a species quite familiar with the water. Not to mention, they are excellent swimmers, so there was no way that monkey was drowning or calling out for help. Now, there are certain monkeys that rather avoid swimming, unless absolutely necessary, but the proboscis monkey is not one of them. Proboscis monkeys are capable of swimming large distances and for several miles. Research has also shown that proboscis monkeys possess a sort of partial webbing on their toes and fingers, which cannot easily be spotted when they are swimming. Proboscis monkeys are also so familiar with water that they prefer to nap on the riverbanks. Plus, when looking to escape from predators, they usually dive headfirst into the water and swim as fast as possible. I guess this is more than enough reason to say that proboscis monkeys in our clip were not holding out for a hero after all. G'day folks, I just had the weirdest dream. Bingo got my gravy. Anyway, make sure you like and subscribe.